Over the next 8 weeks, we're going to have the marketing, we're going to have the resources, we're going to talk about the money. And so when we say game on, that means you're ready to take your business to the next level. Bring your actual business plan in. Where do you want to go?
We came up with a plan to keep all of our commitments.
Show me the money. How many customers do you want to have? How much money do you want to make? Do you want to buy a building?
People are really scared of starting a website, but the website is everything.
Viagra spends millions of dollars in marketing.
What people buy into in your brand.
There are resources available.
Trying to match people with what it is that they need.
LinkedIn relationships matter.
We like to know who we're buying from and who we're doing business with.
We have 8 weeks. Ready, set, go. I'm always so excited about these sessions because I
love those glasses. Look at that.
Thank you. I love people. That's my thing. That's why I'm in the job that I'm in, because I love people.
Hi, Richard.
Hello. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Nice to see you too.
Everything ready to present.
Red seems to be the theme here between Nadine and me.
So I can't see you yet. I'm just putting my slides back to start at slide 1, and then I'm going to come and see what our common theme is. I wanted to play a video tonight, but I thought maybe it was a little bit too risque, so I thought, let's not do the risque video. It's not that it's risque. It's, Yes, Richard, we're matching. We got the memo. Hello, Danielle. You did not get the memo in the red. Would you got the memo?
Yeah, I think.
I'm going to start. Good evening, everyone. I am so happy to see everybody. We're at week 5 of the BBPA Boss Women Entrepreneurship Training Program, proudly partnered and sponsored by the Ryerson Diversity Institute and the Women Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub. I'm so very thrilled for the support because I get to see you dynamic, awesome boss women each week, and I have to let you know that it's a highlight for me. So hi Nandi, hi Delafonte, how are you? Hello OB, how are you? Hi Monique, hello Hodan, Anita, Richard, Jada, Rochelle, Kadeen. I see Hetty is saying hello. Hello Hetty, how are you? We're really excited about tonight's training as well. We have some heavy hitters here, which is great, who's going to share some awesome stuff with you guys. So I'm very thrilled about that. I see Rochelle and Ruth. So how is everyone doing? Well, thumbs up for everyone's doing well. You can always tell when I don't have a lot of time to prepare for meeting. I had a big meeting today. So you see in my testy drawer here, always my red lipstick, right? So you can tell whenever I don't have a lot of time. So it's always ready. So there's a lot happening, and we're very, very excited. I don't know if you heard the news this week. The BBPA participated over the last year in a program that is going to, what I call, be a game changer for Black businesses across the country. And as members, which you all are, and dynamic, awesome boss women entrepreneurs, you're all going to participate in that. And so it was announced last week by Prime Minister Trudeau and Minister Mary Ng, the support for Black entrepreneurs and business owners, which that's who you are. Part of what we will be doing at the BBPA is really preparing each and every one of you for support in any of these ways, whether it's financial support by loans or entrepreneurship support in terms of programs like this, but more detailed ones, in addition to the other programs that we're doing at the BBPA. So there's a lot of exciting things that's happening, and I'm really thrilled to have you all be a part of it as we are going to grow and build our businesses over the next while. The only thing is we don't have a lot of information on that program at the moment. It was only just announced not even a week ago. And so over the next while, we'll be meeting with the banks, we'll be meeting with the government to talk about how that's going to look. But you are on the inside list. As soon as we know, you will know. But it's great news. It's a historic moment. $221 million in support for Black businesses. So the only way to go, my friends, is up. And we will use as many of the resources as possible to launch our businesses. So I'm going to jump right in tonight. We have 2 speakers that's participating. We have Danielle, who's going to talk with you about networking, and we have Richard, the communications director at Brandy Q, who is going to share also some amazing tips with you on marketing. So I will jump right in and share the presentation. But how is everyone doing? Maybe you could just put your word in the chat, because we have such a packed agenda. I'm going to start right in. All right. So for those of you who have submitted your audit, brand audit, that's awesome. I saw quite a bit of them, and I actually called one person, but we will get into that a little bit later. So welcome, and I'm going to just jump right in. I'm going to share my screen. If you can all see my screen, you let me know. You would imagine that I'd know how to do this really well by now, right? Okay, can you all see my computer?
You can see your computer.
Awesome. Good. So you can now see my presentation screen. I'm going to go into presentation mode. Awesome. So I won't let anybody in. I will leave that up to Uju, our awesome Uju, who will let people in. Thanks, Uju. So welcome again to week 5, September 15th of the BBPA's Boss Women Entrepreneurship Training Program. I'm Nadine Spencer. As you can see, my #1 role is Nana to my gorgeous granddaughter. One day I will have to bring you on. Mom, CEO of Brand EQ Agency that I just absolutely love. It's great when you find your life's passion, you know, because then a day, I don't work. I literally show up to a place that I love and I get paid for doing it. And then of course, what drives me in my community pursuits is I'm president of the Black Business and Professional Association. And that is just, it allows me to really change lives in terms of entrepreneurs across, not just the country, the world, which is, it's my passion in life. So introduce myself again. And of course, we are all boss women. And I thought next week, what we're going to do, we're going to find new words. So, you know, we're brilliant, we're outstanding, we're strategic, and we're successful. Hence boss. And so next week, we're going to sort of spend a little bit of time and we're going to create new words for our acronym. So this week is week 5, why Viagra sells. I had this most amazing clip, but I thought it was maybe a tiny bit risque. I'll send the link and then you all watch it, but it's the most amazing advertising campaign that I've ever seen. Just the detail, the slight nuance, which is, you know, when you get into advertising, it's that sometimes you don't necessarily have to say it out loud. It's the nuance thing. And this ad is quite nuanced, but maybe at the end of it, if we feel like we want to see my exciting ad, we can have a look at it. So, you know, I say, you know, why Viagra sells, you know, marketing and your business. And I talk about Viagra specifically because you know, this was a video, which I won't play now because it'll just take up too much time. But Viagra, there's $2 billion worth of Viagra that's sold each year. And I use this as the example because imagine something that's so successful, why do they advertise? You know, you wonder, why does a commodity that sells $2 billion, you figure they already have it made, right? And they invest a lot of money in advertising and in promotion. And if Viagra, who sells $2 billion, but not only that, but everybody knows what it is, whether you use it or not, you know, everybody knows what this little blue pill is. And if they're investing in their marketing and communication, you know, I've got Brand EQ Agency, you know, Daniel, there's Blue Organics, there's all these different companies here. Why would we imagine that we also would not be wanting to get market share? You know, so this whole session is really about thinking about your business and how do you gain market share in your respective area, because we're not Viagra and we're not Kleenex and all those very strong companies, but the only way to get to that level is to brand and market your business. So my inspiration this week is no one is you, and that is your power. You are, every single person on this call is unique. And no one is you. I'm not Richard. Richard is not me. I'm not Uju, and so forth. But we all have when I was in the antiques business and we sold furniture, and you know, the table would have like a knot in the middle of it or something that was unusual. But to me, that's what made it beautiful. And I would say to the clients, ma'am, the reason why you like it is that's the peculiarity of the piece. That's what makes it special. And I believe that each and every one of us, whatever it is that we have that we think may not be, you know, the thing that, you know, sometimes when you talk to people, say, what is the one thing you change about yourself? And it's this, that, or the other. But that is the thing that makes us special and unique. And so what we want to do is highlight that, celebrate that, highlight that, and make that your unique value proposition as you build your brand. Because that is the piece that that makes you very special. And, so we say, we have to recognize that you're the brand. When you're building a business, especially now, when a company like Coca-Cola is launching another product, so they're launching the coconut water, they don't necessarily, and there's a case study around how they're what I call humanizing brands and adding personas and personalities to brands. But when you're building your brand, no one will maybe recognize, I always like to use my agency as, an agency that does marketing, et cetera, et cetera. I become the face of the brand. And years ago when Loblaws, if anybody here remembers when Dave Nicholson was the president of Loblaws was a generic, it's a supermarket. Obviously they did very well, but what made them very special and what made everyone ran out and bought the President's Choice products was each week Dave Nichols would sit in his office and sit on a chair and say, hello, I'm Dave Nichols, the president of Loblaws, and I am making this memories of Taipei sauce because I travel and so forth. What was interesting is that people latched on to him because he brought what we call now the brand persona to Loblaws. So you as an individual, as all entrepreneurs in your own unique way, have to recognize that you are the brand, and we have to find our own unique value proposition, what I call the peculiarity of the piece, the uniqueness of the piece, to strengthen yourself, your brand, and formulate that into the brand that people will recognize. I came on just now and Richard says, I love your red glasses. So I go in someplace and people recognize that here's Nadine with her big glasses. If you've known me since 1980s, the one thing you know about me when I wear glasses, they're not small, they're going to be huge, because that's just part of my personality. And then it becomes part of my brand. What are the attributes of a strong brand? So, for under, so why do people spend $500 and $5.89 on a cup of Starbucks coffee? I say it's the grande 6-pump soy chai latte, extra hot, low foam, no water. That's my Starbucks order. So if anyone wants to get me a coffee, this is how I take it. I know exactly what I want. But what's interesting about that, it's the whole attribute, it's the promise of the brand. It's how they separate themselves from other coffee places. Starbucks definitely is not Tim Hortons and vice versa. So it's how they separate it's what they build for their point of difference. It's because of the brand. So, and so unconsciously consumers accept the brand premise or the promise. So when you go into Starbucks, it's the atmosphere, it's the environment, it's all of that. When you buy a luxury vehicle, when you go to Target, for example, those are all the promise of the brand. There's a vibe, what I call a vibe to it. And that's what you buy into. And the most important part of that is the point of differentiation. That's why we differentiate ourselves in certain ways, because that's what people are drawn to. So the attributes of a strong brand, think about, generating, number one, I say, is think about generating an entertaining, strong image, that the buyer or your audience can connect with, that's easily accessible on all platforms. And Richard will tell you a little bit more about that. But possessing a bigger mission than just, selling products or services. I think I mentioned a while back that CNN started because they wanted to, Ted Turner wanted to solve the world's hunger problem. And so that's how CNN was birthed, because how is he going to solve the world's hunger problem? He had to come up with a central news network that was going to help him tell the story. I find that as part of your brand story, when you can come up with something very larger than yourself, it really helps to solidify what the story you want to tell. And that's what people are most interested in, because everyone wants to make money. There's no doubt about that. The business exists. You've heard Michael speak, to make money. But when we can find something that is bigger than you, where you can take your unique attributes and add it to that, and people can buy into that and invest in that, that will take you a long, long way. I sit on the Whole Foods Advisory Board, and part of their mandate is they have the 4 P's of business. They say it's product first and people. And it all depends on what your business is. And then philanthropy. And then if you get all that right, profit will definitely come. And the profit comes in with your larger thought process. Okay? So, if we focus on our energy, so you want to focus on your energy. on just one attribute that makes your brand very unique. That original idea that you started your company with, and that's how you start to develop a brand. That one unique idea. You know, when we started Brandy Hugh Agency, we really wanted to amplify the voices of our audience. And specifically, you know, we looked at, you know, what our community as a Black woman, and as we told the story. So as a Jamaican, when I look at some of the marketing, it was what I call atrocious, the dog's breakfast, all over the place. But I really wanted to represent our voices in a very unique way in terms of what I call mainstream. So I really wanted to change the world in terms of how we marketed and told people stories. And that's what we sort of build the agency on. And of course, you heard my story in week 1. I talked about what entrepreneurship means to me. And I thought, you know, way back when I was 12 years old and I bought parchment paper, I just didn't get anything. I got parchment paper. So I recognized very early what certain subtleties are in marketing and branding that can cause your business success. And so my big picture is to, you know, really mobilize and work with, you know, entrepreneurs, especially women, to enable their future economy for not just themselves, but their children. And so that is my big why. And so as part of your brand, it's important to develop the big why. There's a lot that happens in this 8 weeks that we won't be able to deep dive into everything, but we're hoping that, you know, you'll stay the course with us. And as we build other areas that you're interested in, then we will sort of deep dive into these different sections. Okay. All right. And then, you know, if you cannot accept or believe or invest in you, why would others? So it really starts with you. Whatever company, whatever product, whatever service you're building, it starts with you. And when you invest in yourself, you tell your audience, you tell your clients, you tell anyone you connect with the value of what you will bring to the table. And that's why it's really important that you invest in you first. So I'd like to today introduce you to someone who's just very dynamic. We have a presenter today. Today's presenter is Richard Rotman. He's the communications director of Brandy Hugh. He's also the author of How to Be a Better Writer. Richard Rotman has worked in journalism and public relations in New York, Washington, D.C., and Chicago, and since 1987. In Toronto, he teaches writing and media study courses at Humber College and Ryerson University. He's currently finishing a book called How to Be a Better Writer overnight.
It's
I thought you finished the book already. Okay,
I did. It's published.
It's published. Okay. Okay.
It's actually
published.
The second volume is How to Be a Better Press Release Writer Overnight.
Okay, so Richard, we have to get some of these books for our entrepreneurs here. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll figure something out.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. So I'd like to introduce you all now to Richard Rotman. Richard, Uju, can you make him a co-host so he can present his areas, please? So Richard, you'll be able to navigate.
To access the slides, yes?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm using your
You're co-host now, so.
Okay,
I think Uju
you.
just made you co-host, yeah.
Okay, so now, how can I advance the slide? That's all.
Well, I'll stop sharing. Maybe that'll help.
Now I can see everyone. Oh, but I'm using your slide. I'd like to use your slides. Is that possible?
Oh, you'd like to use mine? Okay, so I guess I should go back to mine then, right? And you'll
I
just,
think so.
Okay, so as you
I'll talk from
through,
those.
Okay, sure. So as you talk through, I'll just advance as I need to.
There we go. Yeah.
So I'll go back to present. There we go.
So next slide.
Yep.
It's an awfully lame picture of me. Okay. So do you remember way back when, and you're in some kind of class selection in school, and some people didn't vote for themselves because they thought, oh, I can't do that, right? So the lesson here, of course, is if you can't vote for yourself, why are you running? And so it is with brands. In other words, as Nadine previously said, you have to believe in you. You are the brand. So brands are why we buy. I mean, Nadine talked about the example of Starbucks. Why would you spend that kind of money on a coffee? Because it has all of the other attributes of the promise. Now, it used to be, of course, before COVID, a nice place to go and sit down, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I heard a comedy routine actually about Starbucks where somebody goes in for the first time, and you know how they ask you your name? They say, well, what's your name? And the customer says, why do you want to know my name? You know, in other words, it's like a strange idea, but they do. You know, they personalize it. They have all this shtick, even the idea that you learn how to say grande and, you know, latte and all these Italian words that they've made into the English language. So they've really done a great job. Now, people are a brand too. Everything that you do is the sum total of your brand. You are your product. And you remember the L'Oreal ads? I'm watching film festival movies now digitally, and they're sponsored by L'Oreal. So I've seen about 500 times, because you are worth it. But that is the essence of why you're going into your own business and what you're going to do to be an entrepreneur, because you are worth it. If you weren't worth it, maybe you'd go work for somebody else who thinks that they're worth it, and they employ you and you don't have to worry about it. So vote for yourself. Absolutely. Love that picture. Next slide, please, Nadine. Okay, so in business, you really have to decide if it's a company ID or a personal one. You know, there are many companies named after people. Ford Motor, as an example, it's still called Ford Motor. Toyota actually is a family name, although many people don't realize that. So are you Mary Campbell Design, or are you Design Works Partners? And there's a big difference. Mary Campbell has to stand for something. So once you decide that, whether it's personal brand or company brand, the next thing is creating an identity. Now, many people look at that and say, well, it's too expensive and all that. But there are many, many online services, of which I've mentioned one there, Fiverr, where actually people bid for your job, and the prices are quite amazing. My stepdaughter was working on a website, and she found a young designer to help her. And I said, well, how much is she charging? She says, well, she's just starting out, so she's charging $125 an hour. I misspoke that, $25 an hour. And so that's not a lot for getting a logo going. I paid for a logo $250, which is very cheap also. Obviously, big design firms charge much more, but I think of all the things to do before you start or as you're getting going, come up with a name and a logo, like a symbol and a typeface that the logo goes in, that's applied to everything. Same identity everywhere. Business cards, letterheads, websites, social media, even how the telephone is answered. So the brand is the sum total of the impressions formed by all these things. So therefore, it has to be applied to everything. That's the way to launch your brand. I have no idea, of course, just where you are in your business journey, but let's say you are starting out, number one thing. Next slide, please. Okay, now, people are really scared of starting a website, but the website is everything. It's more important than LinkedIn or any of those other kinds of things, because sooner or later, somebody goes to Google. Now, I have a phrase about this, which is we all work for Google now. Why do we all work for Google? Because we supply the content that allows people to search to find things. Now, I have a WordPress website. I am not a graphic designer. I'm a writer. My interest is in language. I'm an editor. But I was able to create through WordPress a really good looking website. There are two options. There's the free option, which you don't have to pay for. You have to pay for hosting and all that, but you don't have to pay for the design. Or if you want a little more functional website, then there are paid options, and those really are nice. So, and you can convert from one to the other. So the website, of course, is your brand image, your ID, what your business is all about, and how they can find you, and ways to get in touch, and so on and so forth. It's not really, at some point we probably ought to talk about what goes in a website, and I'd be glad to answer any questions about that, but just the idea of getting one, having a place to be on the web. And then those are connected to all the other social media things. Now, LinkedIn, of course, is, if you're familiar with Facebook, LinkedIn is the Facebook of business. And it can either be free, which is fine, it works well, or you can pay for many other features to the tune of $64 a month. And your LinkedIn page, again, is if somebody finds out your name, they may Google you and they may go to your website, but the next thing they do is go to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn contains all this information about your background and where you've worked and what your concept is. And it's also a place, along with your website, where you can post ideas and articles. The next thing after that is Instagram and Facebook. Now, the nice thing about Instagram, apart from the fact that a lot of young people look at it, is that you can link it to other places, Facebook and Twitter. Now, I didn't mention Twitter although I'm on all of them. But Twitter is far more like a news and commentary sort of thing. So I don't necessarily think it's a necessity if you're a beginning entrepreneur or you're just in the first phase of your business. You can think about that later. Take photos of you and your business and feature them prominently. Now, whatever you do is your own public relations. That's a hard concept because many people are shy about this stuff. But you know, if you attend an event, if you go somewhere, if you land a client, if you open an office, whatever it is, those are all PR possibilities that go on your website, that go on LinkedIn, that go on Instagram and Facebook. All those things are your outlets, and you have to post a lot because Google will never find you if you don't post a lot. There's a whole other science to that, and maybe we can talk about search engine optimization at another point, but those are your droppings on the web, your little Red Riding Hood, and you're putting your crumbs down there, and people are going to find those crumbs to find you. Okay, so students are great at this too. So find somebody like a Humber student, and they will certainly help you. The next slide, please. Now, this is really kind of the essentials of being your own personal brand and promoting yourself. And people who are successful in business somehow manage to get the name of their business in every conversation. As I was at my company, Mary Campbell Design today, or the people at Mary Campbell Design. So it's broadcasting. That's your form of advertising. And don't be shy about telling people what you do. Now, the person that you tell what to do, who could be your friend, may have nothing to do at all with your business, may never be a client. However, they may know somebody who someday says, gee, I'm looking for a design firm. You know anybody? And you know Mary Campbell Design. So that's why the essence of broadening your network to telling people what you're doing is very important. Next, organizations. If you ever notice, if you look at Nadine's resume, for example, she's been in dozens of organizations, whether it's the Junior League, her association with BBPA, York University. That lady gets around, right? And people know her from a number of walks of life, and she exposes herself and her company to those things. So organizations, whether it's a local community business improvement association, a charity, whatever that is, get involved, and you'll meet other entrepreneurs, and other entrepreneurs promote each other. They may not be in your business, you may not be in their business, but the cross referrals are fantastic. And charities are absolutely the first place to go because you're volunteering and people see you in the act of contributing to the community, which improves your brand impression. And in addition, when they all have events and fundraisers, for a small amount of money, you can be a sponsor, and then your name will appear on all their publications. And that is a form of advertising, websites, and it helps your search engine optimization. So be active, do good things, and meet other people who are in like-minded kind of pursuits. The next slide, please.
I think those are all your slides, Richard.
That's
I
it.
think
Okay.
so.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay.
So,
good.
yeah.
Okay, we have a few questions, so we can just.
Sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
So this first one is from Francesca, and she says, do you always have to be the face of your brand?
Well, if you get big enough and you have hundreds of employees, no. But if it's you and a couple of other people, you are your best brand identity. I would say that's very important. I mean, you have to remember, it's really not about you. So you're not really promoting yourself, even if you're using your own name. You're promoting your business. You're using your name and your identity to promote that business. I was watching an Apple presentation of new products today. I know they do an amazing job, but everybody in the tech and computer world knows the name Steve Jobs, but yet the company wasn't called Steve Jobs Computer, right? He became the face of the company, and he didn't really love the spotlight, but he did it, and people remember him. Too bad he died young. Are there other questions?
Yeah, this is from Tosin, and it says, should you create a personal LinkedIn and include your business, or create a LinkedIn specifically for your business?
Well, LinkedIn is really a personal page in a way, and yet there are also LinkedIn business pages. So I, for example, have the Richard Rotman LinkedIn, and I have the PR Writer LinkedIn, where you can put a logo. The personal ones, which contain all the information about your business, in my opinion, are far more effective. People go to your personal page. They don't go as often to your business page.
Rachel says, if you have a company brand, can tying your personal identities to the company brand be beneficial or detrimental?
Could you repeat that? I'm not quite sure what the thrust
Okay,
is.
if you have a company brand, can
Right.
tying your personal identities or your personal brand to the
I see.
company brand be beneficial or detrimental?
Okay, well, so everybody who has a company that has sort of like a generic name, like DesignWorks, for example, then becomes the identity. You associate the company with that person because that person is active in the community, and then they become, for example, Mary Campbell of DesignWorks. The really effective entrepreneurs that I've seen who name companies or who take over companies that don't have their name on them, then become the face of the company, and people get to know those people.
Yeah, and I do just want to say that, you know, you can choose to become faceless and not put your personality forward or your brand persona. But what I found from my own experience is that the day I decided to come out, that was when the trajectory of my business changed. Because as we say, you know, you'll hear more about that in the networking. People do business with who they know, and when you're masked behind that glass of that faceless company, they don't know necessarily to choose you. You know, so, you know, you're the, as we mentioned before, you're the better pitch for your company than just the name. So I think somehow we have to find an intersection between the two.
Again, I would say Nadine's a good example because her company, Brand EQ, and look at how she is the face of it all around the city and the province, etc.
Okay.
Any other questions? I thought I saw the chat let up there.
So we have, I was just going to go ahead and read them after Danielle's presentation.
Yeah, okay, so we'll jump right to it. So is the screen shared with Danielle? So Richard, thank you very much. Any other questions for Richard before he takes off?
If you do, well, I don't necessarily have to take off, but if you do want to ask a question directly, Nadine will forward, I will answer any questions that I get by email. And, you know, I'll certainly be glad to help any of you and, you know, talk to you about your situation. I'm not looking for business in that regard, but, you know, as a contribution to this group, anybody who wants to contact me and ask me a question or, you know, ask me to elaborate on something, feel free to do so through Danielle and Nadine.
Well, that's awesome, Richard. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you want me to stay or
yes,
what?
if you're able to, sure, why not? Absolutely.
Yeah,
if you're able to stay, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great. I'm just going to go back into slide. So I'd like to present, Danielle, are you able to manage on your own? Our next presenter is Danielle Spencer, a project director at Brand EQ. Danielle manages all area of clients' projects. She sees through from start to completion, and she is awesome. All right, Danielle, over to you.
So
are you able to advance a slide on your own?
Yeah, I can. No.
You have to stop sharing for her to share hers.
Sorry. Okay, so I'll stop sharing. Go ahead, Danielle.
No, it says host disabled attendee screen sharing.
So Uju will
You're
have
a
to
co-host, actually, Danielle.
Ooh, I don't have it. I don't have it here, but you'll need to reshare it with me. But to just get into one of the points that was just made about tying in your personal brand to your business brand, you know, it's definitely a strong strategy when the two align. If you yourself, you know, let's say you open up a baby boutique. If you yourself are, you know, you fall in line with, you know, what it is that you want for your customer base. And the first part about that that's most important is to define your customer base. What are you looking for? And then to fall in line with that. So for example, if you are looking to attract moms who are, you know, a little bit more reserved, maybe, you know, very family oriented, then, and that's what you follow, put your brand out there. There's nothing more than people like, you know, there's a reason why people say, oh, it's so good to put a name to the face, you know, people, or face to the name. there's a reason why that's such a strong saying. That's because people like to know who they're doing business with, even if it's a brand, whether, you know, it's a service or a product. And then again, going back to that same example, if you're opening up a baby boutique, you know, if you recognize that you want, that your ideal customer is the wholesome mom, then you probably don't want to be posting photos of yourself, you know, like in the club, going on rowdy girls trips or things like that. Like, you definitely want it to be in line with what it is that you want for your customers to be able to see and to want to buy into, because that's essentially what it is that you're doing when you put yourself forward and you tie yourself into your brand. You want people, you feel like you yourself are worth buying into and that you want them to be the same. So going into the screen sharing. Okay, hit it. Okay, here we go. So one of the most important things about when you're marketing yourself is, you know, establish your brand and then network. Networking is so huge. It's so important. It's the most important thing that you can do for yourself as a professional, a business owner, entrepreneur, in any type of regarded business. Networking is key. Honestly, actually, not even just in business, in any type of realm of life. Networking is so, so key. So what exactly is networking? So networking is, you know, it's the process of establishing a mutually beneficial relationship with other businesses, people, potential clients, or customers. And so, you know, it's a term that refers to meeting, you know, people who line up with your professional, you know, goals and needs. And anything that you need to be able to grow your business. It gives you a pool of experts that range from competitors to clients or customers, and it allows you to offer something to them, hopefully in exchange for their services, you know, advice, knowledge, or their contacts. Now, when you're developing these relationships as a business owner and offering assistance to others, you need to recognize that this does more than give your potential clients or like generate referrals. Networking really assists you in like identifying opportunities of partnerships, in joint ventures and new areas of expansion for your business. And so the opportunity for growth is so, so key. And a part of that, you know, we're going to get into why you want to be networking. So when you're networking, something that you definitely want to be doing is checking your intentions. So why are you networking? Why are you at this particular event, meeting these particular people, trying to gain these contacts? You know, what's going to be the nature of this relationship? You know, people can tell when you want something from them versus when you're genuinely interested in solidifying a long-term relationship. If you're looking, you know, let's say that you are in law and you're looking for new clients and you go to, you know, the Harry Jerome Awards and you see a friend of yours who also works in law and you see people sitting at their table and you go over and you want to be introduced to the people who are also sitting at that table because you feel like these people are either potential clients, can, you know, introduce you to potential clients, so on and so forth. Now, when you go over to people, you can't just go up to them and say, hi, do you need a lawyer? Can I work for you? Can you hire me? That's not how networking works, and that's not sustainable networking. What you want to be able to do is genuinely create an authentic relationship with people that's sustainable. When you just want something in particular from somebody, it's very short term. You need to be able to learn how to cultivate these relationships so that they're sustainable and long term. And the only way that you can do that, it comes down to genuine interest. When you want something from somebody, just one particular thing, people always know, they can see right through it, and it's really hard to buy into. So going to events that you really want to be at, you know, if let's say you're working, you know, in tech, and you go to a fashion event, you know, whether because you want to be there or a friend invited you or for whatever reason. Now, if you don't want to be there, but you're like, okay, like, I'll just go, I'll just network, it's fine, whatever, I'll just make the most of it. But you're just looking for, you know, maybe people who are, you know, like, let's say you're trying to meet designers who are trying to set up websites, and you're just going up to them and saying, you know, period, point blank, do you need a website? Can I make that for you? Sometimes people are just like aren't into that. Nobody really wants to get straight into business sometimes. They definitely want to see, they want to meet you. And it goes back to your own personal brand. It's something that people want to buy into. You know, what is it that makes you a great addition to their team and to their project? And you definitely want to be selling this on something more sustainable than just something that just benefits you. There always has to be a return and a give and a take. Okay, so when we're getting into why networking is important, there's this incredible article from the New York Times. It's an op-ed, and in it discusses how social networks drive Black unemployment. Now, not specifically just, you know, like social network, like, you know, Instagram, Facebook. It's how our social networks, the people who we know, are creating a divide and a bit of a gap in the opportunities available to the Black community. Now, in the article, it reads, the most obvious explanation for this entrenched disparity and racial discrimination. Oh, sorry? Oh, sorry, did someone say something? No, sorry, my bad. Yeah, so the most obvious explanation for this entrenched disparity and racial discrimination. But in my research, I have found a somewhat different culprit: favoritism. Getting an inside edge by using help from family and friends is a powerful hidden force driving inequality. Such favoritism has a strong racial component. Through such seemingly innocuous networking, white Americans tend to help other whites because social resources are concentrated among this community. If African Americans are not part of the same networks, they will have a harder time finding decent jobs. The mechanism that reproduces inequality, in other words, may be inclusion more than exclusion. And white exclusion or discrimination is illegal. However, inclusion or favoritism is not, meaning it can be more insidious and largely immune to legal challenges. So I think that we can all definitely attest to seeing a group of friends, seeing a group of people at a restaurant, seeing any types of group of people, and they all look the same. And when they all look the same, you yourself wonder, how do you not look at your group and recognize that there's no diversity? A few months ago, Brandy Q had been on a call with, you know, a very popular restaurant here in Toronto. And, you know, the president was saying, oh, we just didn't notice that there was nobody of color. There was, you know, there were no minorities a part of our, you know, upper management team. And, you know, a part of the issue there was that we had seen some photos of their upper management team. They do these, you know, high level trips, you know, to Italy, to France, to, you know, these culinary destinations in the world. And they take their upper level management with them. And all of these photos, you don't see a single Black person, not one. And when you look at these photos, you wonder, how is that possible? Like, how do you not look at your group and recognize that there is a disparity there? But some people, they just, regardless of how they think about race or the fact that they don't recognize privilege, or maybe they do, they just don't recognize the fact that their social networks are very non-inclusive. And, you know, again, it goes back to, you know, recognizing this upper level management. So how is it that, you know, in a network of, you know, this restaurant, all these people, they're pulling each other up because they promote from within. But in doing that, in creating relationships, friendships, you know, with their coworkers, they're not recognizing that they're giving stronger connections to these, you know, to their white counterparts, as opposed to, you know, the Black people who do work in these restaurants. And so those opportunities are lacking. And so what's important is, you know, in knowing this, we know how to hold, you know, like these people accountable, and to be able to recognize where we should be able to utilize our networks and make them stronger, and be able to, you know, create these communities where they're incredibly inclusive, and we're always, you know, extending opportunities, lifting each other up, and, you know, making sure that we're looking after each other. I definitely don't want to, overwhelm, with information so far. Does anybody have any questions about any of the things that I've just discussed thus far?
We do have a few questions. Do you want to take questions now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Someone, Durian says, if you have an original brand that provides a service to people, but you have started to sell physical products and online products, like classes that are named differently, how do you link all these together? Or should you link them together at all? Should the logos be similar?
I absolutely believe in, utilizing a strong brand to create other strong brands, and to be selling other product lines. When we look at, something like, Betty Crocker, for example, we all go there when, if any of us ever needs to bake a cake at home, for any of us who are not skilled in the kitchen and need the help of a box, we go straight to Betty. She has never failed us. She never will. She is just what we're able to whip together ourselves in the kitchen. Betty Crocker also sells mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes and cakes have nothing to do with one another. And yet both are product lines that are doing, extremely well for that company. And so being able to utilize, your strong brand name, your strong brand presence is incredibly important and extremely valuable. If you already have a reputation that's extremely positive, people enjoy working with you, or if you have a business, let's say people know that you're amazing at returns, you never get an order wrong, they're dispatched on time, you answer your emails quickly, you're always looking out for your customer experience, it would be so wise to create another brand or product under that same label so that people know they're getting that exact same reliability, that exact same amazing customer service that they're getting from your first venture. And so, if you're able to set up something similar to like a parent company, or, this is why websites are also so important, because when you have a website and people are going to look for you, then you're able to put, at your footer, that you also own, ABC companies, that ABCD are also your brands. And so when people look at that, they say, oh, that's amazing. When we look at, brands like the LVMH, the Louis Vuitton, Moet, Hennessy brand, Louis Vuitton, Moet, Hennessy, those are all luxury brands. And then when you look at everything else underneath them, Sephora, Marc Jacobs, you can't look at these and not see a correlation between what the brands stand for, their values, their customer service, their level of luxury, it all ties in. And so as long as you have that consistency in terms of, what your brand, is in terms of what people can expect from you, it's perfect. Absolutely link them, because, it's the best thing that you can do when people have that notion of reliability from you and your brand.
Okay, thanks. Monique says, how beneficial is it to hire a marketing consulting firm to do your website and help with your brand and your logo?
Yeah, the benefit of a marketing agency is that, first of all, marketing is literally just that. It's bringing something to the market. It's bringing a person, a brand, a service, a product. It's bringing something to the market. They already know how to sell you, your brand, your business. Like that's literally what they're supposed to be doing, bringing you to the market. And so when you're starting out, it's definitely tricky to know, exactly what it is that you need to be doing. It's tricky to know, why certain layouts on websites offer better conversions and lower bounce rates than, others. It's important to know why a logo is so important. Where do you have, your logo breakdown? Where do you store, your personal images? Do you have all the content? Is your content SEO optimized? Do you have your backlinks done? You need to be able to make sure that there's all these steps that are being taken to make sure that the internet is recognizing you, that people are finding you, that everything is consistent and flows well and ties in, and that you're not missing anything. You know, a lot of times people make a website, but they forget to, you know, put in privacy policies. If you have a product, to not have a thorough return policy, to be making sure that you're including, you know, a contact us, that you're accessible. Sometimes people, we've had clients who come in and they'll have a 1-800 number for their website, but it actually, 1-800 numbers actually deter customers from calling you, because they feel like that they're going to hit, like a switchboard where it's going to take them, you know, longer than they care to invest their time in, to be able to reach somebody. And so that person-to-person contact is so important when it comes to business, because people want to feel like their money matters. And so if they give their money to, you know, a brand, like a business, it's just so huge. Like, you know, if I go to Walmart and I buy a pack of socks and, you know, let's say there's one missing in the pack, am I going to go and take it back and really believe that they're going to think that I didn't just take a pack of socks out? Probably not. And so if I spend $6 on those socks, I'm probably going to end up just giving them to good, or if one doesn't work, like, you know, maybe I might give it to Goodwill, like if they're too small, like, or something like that. So sometimes those policies and the structures of large businesses, you know, there's a reason why people like to give their support to small businesses, because they're so much more personal. It's often a better experience. And you're able to, you know, personalize someone's shopping, you know, experience. So it's definitely better. So when it comes to hiring a marketing agency, I mean, not meaning to sound biased, but, you know, I definitely, I absolutely see the value in going there, and being able to rely on that expertise to be making sure that you're following, well, first of all, that you're creating a strategy, and then being able to follow it through to fruition. Oh, you're both.
I just,
unmuted. We have one more question here.
And, you know, I want to weigh in on that just a little bit. Of course, I can always add it to my next section. But as you build a story, it's like you're building a house and you want expertise. You know, certainly you can sort of custom build it yourself. But one of the, I mean, obviously I would champion, and Daniel, I have to say your answer was great, because you certainly didn't lean into that, you know, one should hire an agency. But I remembered we had a client, a very notable politician that had invested a lot into their brand. And they came to us because they wanted something different in the landscape of where they were. And we gave that person the rate, and they said, I believe in investing in my brand. And although I've spent a lot investing in my brand, that I need to continually invest. So whether you learn, and there's, you know, there's ways, and we can certainly show you tips on how to do it yourself. But when you get an expert, it catapults your brand to the next level. And when you're participating in the growth of your business, it really shows when you've made that intentional investment. We are an agency, and we're actually a client of the agency ourselves. And we have a team that's dedicated to just doing the marketing for Brand EQ, because we recognize the value of that. And if we're telling the story that it's important for our clients, we also have to tell the story that it's important for us as well. And we pay the agency rate, and we pay to do the services to market our agency as well. Any other questions?
Awesome. So yes, there's one from Tosin, and it says, what do you think is the most crucial aspect of creating a memorable logo for your brand?
The best way to create a memorable logo is in the way that you're able to utilize it and its versatility. Let's say Disney. Disney has one of the best logos that breaks down impeccably. Coca-Cola the same way. Chanel is another one. Now, going back to Disney, I think we all know a Disney movie opens. It has the castle. It has the little twinkly star coming on around, and it says Disney or Walt Disney Company. Okay, so that's it. So the castle with the star with the Walt Disney Company. Okay, that's one logo. you can take any element from that logo and be able to recognize that it's Disney. You can take that D, you know it's Disney. The castle, you know it's Disney. You see the Walt Disney Company, you know it's Disney. Coca-Cola is the exact same thing. If you were to have just a red with a squiggly line, you would be able to recognize that as Coca-Cola. Chanel, the exact same thing. You have the two C's in the circle, you know it's Chanel. And then that same logo, it can be included with the actual full Chanel. They'll use just the word Chanel. They'll use them together. They'll use them separately. You recognize it. And so being able to create a logo that can break down like that is so, so useful. Even here, like looking at the screen that's shared right now, you see the BBPA's logo. The BBPA can use that logo in itself, or they can add the Black Business Professional Association underneath. So being able to have, you know, a logo that has the name of the title and has a, like the letter mark or the logo mark, it's perfect because sometimes you're not able to use a fully horizontal space. So to have something that fits in a square is perfect, but you don't exactly want to make your full logo that small. Brand EQ is the exact same way, where sometimes they'll just use the EQ, the brand EQ marketing communications. So being able to use a logo breakdown like that is incredibly versatile and useful, and so, so handy when it is that you're creating a brand.
So the next question, Daniel, and I don't mind putting that out to you again. Francesca's asking, can we talk a bit about pricing? I love it, Francesca. You've read the money, you've listened to the money episode very well, even though we didn't show you the Jerry Maguire version. I don't have a specific question, but mainly, how can my brand logo match pricing for my target niche? Did I ask that properly, Francesca? Or you can unmute her, Uju, and Francesca can ask her question in case I did not do that proper.
Yeah, I think you got it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you got it.
Great, thanks.
Danielle, I think that's for you.
Oh, okay. So the question was asked correctly. Okay. Sorry, Uju, can you just repeat it one more time?
So Francesca is asking if we can talk about pricing. She doesn't. She wants to know how her brand and logo can match the pricing for her target niche.
Yeah. So, me personally, I love just a clean cut logo, like no more than one or two colors, nothing, you know, too big and you know, like bold or, you know, when we look at, you know, brand, and then it definitely depends, you know, on your niche, for example. If you, okay, like for example, like let's look at something like Barbie. Barbie is, you know, targeted for children, for little girls who fall under, you know, the classic kind of cliche girl stereotype, like cute, bubbly, pink, adorable. The logo follows just that. Now, Barbie is also targeted for children. However, the purchasing power comes to parents. So Barbie is created in a way where little girls need to have it. And that's with all toys, but Barbie especially, and that's why the company and why their products have been able to adapt and last for so long, is that they really recognize that Barbies aren't sold to parents. That's not who they advertise to. Although parents are the primary and sole purchasers of Barbies. Adults buy Barbies, but children play with them. So it's recognizing who you have to target that desire to. If you are selling a luxury product, you need to be selling, so, you know, luxury is typically associated with, especially now, clean cut, modern, slick. That's luxury these days. Gone are the days of, you know, having ottomans and sideboards and fancy couches with lots of pillows and throws and things like that. You know, in terms of like luxury, like the standards and the definition have definitely changed over time, and so do brands and how that they have their products and how they have, you know, their logos. Again, going back to Chanel, it's just black and white, clean cut. And, you know, their clientele, and their product lines, it definitely follows suit within that. And so you can notice where, you know, like that price point matches up, because, you know, Chanel is definitely targeted to, you know, established women who are able to, you know, spend that type of money on their products. Whereas, again, going back to Barbie is sold to children, purchased by parents. Chanel is targeted to established women who are purchasing their products and are able to wear it, with, like, there are many different versatile outfits, which are, and then their purses are often, you know, used as, you know, statement pieces for, you know, more going back to, you know, modern day luxury, clean cut outfits. So clean cut outfits with bold bags. And then we, you know, these trends, like, they definitely, like, are matched throughout various industries, different businesses. And so, again, that's where, you know, having a marketing, you know, consultant or somebody, an agency to go to is so perfect, because you're able to go to someone who's able to say, okay, this is your logo. Who are you trying to sell to? Okay, we think that this doesn't match. Here's another option for what's perfect for the demographic you are trying to reach. They have that expertise, they have that knowledge, and that's why it's really good to have somebody, you know, on retainer in your corner to be able to go to for those types of questions.
Thanks, Danielle. And maybe one of the things we could do, maybe if you ask Garcia if we could share some of her information, I think it would be great to show the concept that they had, the logo that we did, that what they sent in, their original logo, and how we advanced the brand with that logo. So we're going to get back to the questions, but because you have a few more slides, because I think we can go into a robust conversation together, even when we look at the brand audit, which I definitely want to get to. While Daniel's going through the rest of the networking piece to wrap up in maybe 10 minutes, Danielle. Nettie, I'm wondering if it's okay, I'm calling you out here, if I can use yours as the example, if you're okay with that. And if not, that's totally okay as well. Okay, maybe you can just put it in the chat. All right, thank you. Go ahead, Danielle.
So looking at different types of networking, you know, the most common that we have in business are business seminars. You know, now that, you know, we're online and out of person, that shouldn't be stopping us from networking. You know, even with these seminars, it's amazing because you have an opportunity actually online that you don't usually have in person. And that is that for people who come on camera, you know exactly what they look like. And if their faces are matching, you know exactly who to search on LinkedIn. And then when you see their photo pop up, you know exactly who it is. You recognize that they're from the Boss Women program. And there's your perfect opener right there. You know, for anybody who, you know, has searched for Nadine on LinkedIn, or Uju or myself, and you know, send out a connection with a note saying, hi, you know, I was in the Boss Women program, you know, it's great that, you know, we're, you know, building up together. This is what I do. Please let me know if you ever need help with anything. You know, I'm always, you know, able to offer my assistance as well. Like, I would love to keep in contact. That is so easy. Oftentimes when we're in person at networking events, it can be definitely tough to be able to approach people and, you know, just start a conversation out of nowhere. It's definitely intimidating, but we have definitely been able to eliminate that, or at least mediate it quite a bit with this online, you know, realm that we've entered when it comes to business and when it comes to networking. Networking groups are the exact same thing. You know, meetup.com, that's a big one, especially for, you know, like the in-person getting to get-togethers, and being able to link with people who have very similar interests to you, being able to find groups that have interests that match yours. That's an unparalleled business experience that we haven't been able to see, you know, like 20 years ago. So business has definitely changed. Access to resources is definitely improved. And our direct link to people who have, you know, same niches and same interests as us is definitely there. Professional associations, I hope everybody here is a part of the BBPA, because if you're a Black woman in business and you're looking for a professional association, I mean, that's perfect. And business isn't always, you know, business. You should be able to, you know, take advantage of, you know, events like, you know, the Harry Jerome Awards. when that comes up, like next year, hopefully, like if COVID is, something of the past and we're able to, be meeting in person, it's perfect. Same thing with, in March, I believe we do the business women's event. When you're able to be in the same room as people, you all recognize that you're there to network, you're there to meet people. So that should be able to, take a little bit of the awkwardness away, and make it a little bit easier for you to connect with people. So some of the benefits of networking. So definitely, keeping yourself, up to date with trends, in your industry and in your niche. Education, it definitely doesn't end when we finish, college or university, high school, whatever it may be. We always need to be changing and advancing ourselves. If anybody in tech still had the education that was limited to what was in the 90s, we would not be where we're at now. And we would definitely not be all here together today. So we definitely need to be keeping, our knowledge tight of the work that we're doing. So another benefit is, sorry, I'm just not able to read this. Oh, promoting your own interests. So how is it that you're able to, grow your business off of word of mouth? You need to be in contact with people. And so the biggest part of that is going to these events and talking to people about what it is that you're doing. If I was to be at an event and I met Uju, I would say, hi, hello, my name is Danielle. So nice to meet you. What is your name? What brings you here tonight? Like, what line of work are you in? Oh, amazing. Like, my name is, like, I'm the BBPA. I also work with Brand EQ, we're a marketing agency, and, yada, yada, yada. So it's always easy to kind of like segue your interest in there and what it is that you're doing. And, sell yourself a little bit, especially when you've practiced. And so that's also one of the biggest things that's so important about networking, is that you're able to practice, skipping, one point. It's a huge part of networking is building confidence in yourself. I always say that the worst thing somebody can tell you is no. And so when you're at these networking events, even if you want to get somebody's contact, just start the conversation. And when you finish, when you go home, reflect on the conversations you had that night, what was spoken about, what you said, what you heard, and then where you feel like you could have done better. That's always such an important part about these events and this skill. And that's exactly it. It's a skill, and you do not get any skill without practicing. And so just pushing yourself out of your shell is a huge part of it. And again, it gives you practice to speaking about your elevator pitch and about your business. Because a lot of people, they actually don't know how to speak about their business. Some people will say, I work in marketing. And that's it. You need to be able to delve into your business. Talk about what makes you different. What is your focal point? What is your niche? What makes you stand out from any other person who's working in your industry? You need to be able to have those points down within a minute when you're talking, to be able to stand out, and for the person who you're talking to recognize that you are somebody to know and you are somebody to keep in contact with. And the one point that I did skip was providing you with professional mentors or contacts. Again, going back to that New York Times article, people do business with who they know. Your network is your net worth. All those cliches, but they are true. And to, be building those is incredibly, incredibly important, and could honestly be a make or break in what it is that you're doing professionally, and has the opportunity to unlock so much potential for you if you just know how to utilize it. And so one of the most important things to discuss in networking is your intentions. So what's the purpose of this relationship? How are you going to be able to iterate to this person that you have something to offer as well? It's not just, a take. You have something to give in addition to that. And again, as I was saying earlier, when you want something short term, you're not building a relationship there. It's just very one-sided, very short term. Whereas when you want something, want a relationship with the person that's long term, that's more sustainable. When you really, iterate to them that you want to create a genuine relationship. So some questions to ask when you're networking, you know, again, like I was saying, you know, 2 minutes ago, you know, what brings you here? What made you get involved? Since you're working in this industry, like, how do you feel about this? For anybody who, you know, honestly, anybody in any industry, in any climate right now, you can definitely talk about, you know, things of, you know, like being a Black woman in business. You know, how do you feel about, you know, Black Lives Matter? How do you feel about, you know, what's going on in the States, what's going on in Canada, you know, what's going on, period, point blank. Another one is, you know, how would somebody get their foot in the door in your company or industry? Based on your journey, what do you wish someone would have told you earlier in your career? And that's perfect for anybody who's networking with people who are in similar industries. Another one is, how do you spend your time outside of work? And again, so if you're at an event where you have an interest, let's say in fashion, you're probably going to assume that somebody there also has an interest in fashion. And so when you're able to already talk about that, if you're able to find another point of interest that you can, you know, both be into, or you never know, like, you know, something that they might be involved in that you're interested in as well, like that's just another stronger point to make this relationship just a little bit better and a little bit more of a chance of, you know, sticking and being a little bit more sustainable. And then, you know, of course, what's the best way for you to get in touch with somebody and to follow up with them? And so some of your key takeaways from networking, you know, business, you know, networking, it gives you, you know, the ability to collaborate with other like-minded people and similar professionals, and anybody who's able to help you grow your business and improve your professional life. Okay. So some benefits include, you know, opportunities to help, you know, other business owners or for other ones to, you know, help you, additional knowledge and gaining more perspective, and, you know, communicating with like-minded individuals. And so this goes into the brand audit portion. Are there any other questions regarding, you know, like networking?
So we have a question, but it's not for networking. It's about marketing consulting, and this is Dorian, and she's asking, she's saying that she loves the idea of going to a marketing company, but affording one when you're just starting out seems impossible. How can we make that work? That's a pretty important question.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I say to that is, if you can't afford marketing, what you should do is write down all your problem areas. Anything that it is that you feel like you need assistance with. You're not going to be able to get a full strategy, but what you can do is you can go into an agency, at least book them for like 2 to 3 hours of consultation, and for, you know, like less than what you would pay for an agency minimum retainer, you can at least have a consultation as to, you know, how it is that you can, you know, target and try to fix some of these issues on your own. I think that building a marketing budget into your startup costs is very important. And the thing is that it really is an investment. You're not going to be able to have the same results if you don't. We had a client who, you know, she's an entrepreneur, has her own business, and she had tried out a number of different solutions to be able to get that running. They all resulted in companies giving her guarantees that never yielded the results that she wanted, just not working entirely as she thought it would. And just basically like a number of different services that just weren't at all what she should have, you know, been doing. She came to us and she was saying, you know, these are some of the issues that I've encountered. You know, I'm on Yelp and I paid for, you know, this type of, you know, subscription and whatnot, and it's just not doing what they said it would do. I signed up for this other company. They had told me I could expect these certain results and I haven't gotten anything. I signed up for this cold calling service that was supposed to promote my business, but instead I get cold calls and get, you know, scam calls from like other businesses, and it's just not working. And so that's also a problem when you try to find cheaper solutions, is that sometimes you actually end up just wasting your money, because when people give you guarantees, 99% of the time, that's just not the case. You know, if we ever have a client come into Brand EQ, I always tell them that, you know, we don't guarantee you results, because that's just not how marketing works. That's just not how anything, I feel like, works. It's up to us to be able to put your business into a certain position where when you do the work that you're supposed to be doing, it gets you the results that you want. And then it also takes everything off of your hands that you don't know what you're doing, lets you be able to focus on what you do know what to do, and then, you know, not waste your time and dilute your energy, time, and resources into the work that you just don't really know what it is that you're doing. And so being able to do that, you end up maximizing your own resources to be able to push your business in the way that you want it to. You know, if you put your marketing to an agency and you're able to put your energy towards service development, networking, product development, things like that, you end up having more time doing what you know how to do and just leaving what you don't know how to do to people who know how to do it. And it's just, I think it's just the better way to go about it, because it ends up saving you your time, energy, money, and resources. And I find it's just far more beneficial.
Yeah, me too, Nadine.
Yes, sorry. The one example that Danielle shared is that, you know, when you're intentional about your story, I always say that people like to buy. They don't like to be sold. And, you know, there's a whole range of what PR is versus advertising versus, you know, all those streams. And so PR, and Richard, I don't know if you're still here, PR is someone saying that you're great. You know, so when someone, you know, writes an article about Uju and says Uju is a dynamic writer, she's a dynamic marketer, that's great. But if Uju goes out and says, you know, I'm a great writer, you know, people are more likely to believe that she is the PR side. And so what agencies do, or what you want to do in your marketing, is you want to strategically position yourself so people come to you. They come to you. You know, what we do is people come to our clients. So that one example that Danielle shared, you know, we saw she got some PR. PR will always give you more business. And just recently we see on the social media platforms, welcoming new client. And so those are the things that a strategic position can do. I see one of the questions here. What is a reasonable percentage or range you should dedicate to your marketing? I always say that, you know, as when we did the financial piece with Michael a few weeks ago, there was a spot there for marketing. I always say, depending on who you are, your marketing should be at minimum 10%, and that is on the low side. 25% is the range. However, I remember we had a client that had an olive oil company from Italy. And he says, Madame, I want to do $1 million in sales. And he says, can you do that? I said, absolutely. Can you put $1 million into the marketing? Because sometimes that is really what it takes. It depends on your industry. It's not a hard and fast rule. Minimum is 10%, but it depends on who you are. We had a major celebrity that came to us. I mean, major celebrity. And, you know, what was his range? You know, well, he's already bringing what I call brand equity. So his range is, 5%. Of that larger budget. So it all depends. There's no one size fits all. Depends on who you are, your industry, the current marketing you have, and the brand that you've established already. You want to pull another question, Uju, from the box?
Okay, so Hetty was asking, she has an online business, and she was asking what was the best way to create a brand logo for her online business. And then we also have Tosin, who is asking, how do you determine when you have successfully established your niche?
Great question. So you can take the logo, I'll take the niche question. Yes? So when you've successfully established your niche, and your niche being, you look at your audience persona and you've identified, for example, Baloo Organics have identified that their niche is new moms, they're doing ball pits and so forth. And how do you know when that's happening? You know when that's happening by people are continuously consuming, purchasing, coming for your services. They're coming for your services, and not only are they doing that, they're giving you a referral, they're leaving feedback, and they're telling others about it. So that's how when you know you've hit your niche, when people are coming to you. until that happens, you have to continue. And I opened up with the Viagra conversation. Until, even when you're doing your $2 billion worth of sales, you still have to continue, because you can't lose market share. When you look at large companies, like Century 21 just went out of business. And I couldn't believe when I went to the Yorkdale, I see that David's Tea, a lot of Banana Republic has gone out of business. Now, isn't it interesting that stores like that, with such longevity in terms of brand presence, COVID happens and they're gone. But yet there's other stores that are still standing, Aritzia, they're still there and they're still strong. And that's because they've targeted, their niche is so defined into who they are, what they do, that they can't be wiped out by like a pandemic like COVID. Whereas established brands like Banana Republic, they're gone. I hope that's answered your question. And I want to dive into, because now we have 10 minutes left, which is so short. I don't know how this time goes so quickly, to go into the brand audit. Now, Nandi has volunteered. And so Nandi, I want to thank you in advance, because it's always a toughie when you put yourself out there and you put your brand out there. And so Nettie, for agreeing to have your brand on public display, the challenges that we find in your brand that we're going to show as an example, with your permission, Brand EQ will work in conjunction with the BBPA to make those changes for your brand. We will make those changes, and then at the end of this session, if you're okay with that, we will show everybody what the before and after looks like. So are you okay with that? I hope you're saying yes.
I'm sorry, I was just taking my jaw off the floor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. That's awesome. That's great. So thank you in advance. So I'm going to share my screen. Danielle, can you let me take the screen back, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we asked everyone to fill out their brand audit, and we didn't get everyone's back. I think we only got 6 back. We can see you, Danielle. Oh, maybe it's just the way I've got you on my screen. Why is this on pin? And so for everyone who filled out the brand audit, you're going to get a gift card of $25 for everyone. So I mean, good for us, right, Uja, for our budget that only 6 filled it out?
Exactly, perfect.
Yeah. So the 6 who filled it out, you will all have a gift card. Because remember, I keep talking about the state of readiness, and the state of readiness for businesses is so important, because the whole adage that there's no such thing as luck, it's preparation meets opportunity. And what we really want to do for our businesses is to always be ready. And we have a volunteer who shared her brand audit. So we went through the brand audit, which looks like this. Thank you for filling it out. And, we asked a series of questions. I won't go through all of her answers, but, I can always tell what someone's brand result is going to be based on the questions, glance through very quickly, and then we do the results. So the first thing we look for when someone does a brand submission to us, we look at their unique value selling proposition. And so she's written here, personalized client-focused service. That's great. Canadian Immigration Legal Services, so that's wonderful. And then we go through and we see that she wants to be certified, which is great. That means her brand is looking forward. She's got an elevator pitch. And what we're going to do, Nandi, we're going to work on your elevator pitch with you together. When we're done, when we present this at the end, you're going to have a stellar kick-ass elevator pitch. This is very good. You've covered some things, but if you have 3 seconds to grab someone, we really want to hone in on that really definitive, what your brand is within that, less than 10 seconds. So we're going to get to that. And then, what is her professional vision? She stated that. Now, would everyone in your company describe your brand similarly? And she says, we wrote not applicable. And I guess I'm guessing that we wrote not applicable because maybe because of the size of the team. But, I always say this, that the person in our building, so we're in Don Mills, our office is in Don Mills, and if you go upstairs to the 3rd floor where our receptionist is, and you even if you met any of our neighbors, they can tell you exactly who we are in terms of our brand identity, just by the way we represent in this large space. So, and Nandi, there's a way to do that, and we're gonna talk through how to do that. And then we asked about your visual identity. Please note where you score in the in the score. That was sort of left blank. Is your name trademarked, registered? So that's great. Those are wonderful. Do you have a single logo or trademark? Yes, you do. Does it come across consistently in all your materials? So your sheet was very clear in terms of what it is. What does it look like? You talk through all of that. You said some were outdated, but you're working on them. And then it says, are the colors consistent? You said yes. Can they be found? Can you be found online when you search your name or product or service? So we're going to test that. And you wrote yes. Do you have a clear visual of what makes your brand unique? Not sure. So we're going to get to that at the end of this. And then does your industry keywords, do you have industry keywords, and does your clients know where to find you? You wrote specifically yes. So we're going to just test that. And do you show up online? Yes, I am. I'll see. So you wrote that you show up online. So let's go now and have a look. So one of the first things I did, one of the other things I noticed was that there was a Gmail address connected to it. And maybe that's just connected to because of how you did the survey. But what we want to do is always have the same uniformity for your brand across all platforms. I very rarely use my Gmail. The reason why I use the Gmail is because it's tied into YouTube. But when you're identifying yourself as a brand, and you heard Richard talk about whether you want to be the clothing store, or Carol Parsons, and so you want to be, if you are Nandy's associate lawyer, then you want everything across the brand to look like that. So I did a Google search, and when I did the Google search, I found it. So we have, and here's the thing, everybody, when you Google your name, you will find yourself, when you Google Danielle Spencer, there's a lot of Danielle Spencers. There's a famous celebrity that was married to a Danielle Spencer. And when that happens, there's a way to change that. So you will show up in a different way. So when we Googled Nandy, this is what we found. So we can clearly see that she's a lawyer, women leading law, and all of these things. I'm not sure if this is her on YouTube, but we can clearly see, meet the Y candidate team, and Nandy is there. So this is good, right? This is good. And then obviously the objective is to have more. So then when we click in to the website, who am I? So we have a heading here under her Google index. So here's what's interesting. Nandy is not Google indexed, and we're running out of time, so I can't show you what that is. But when we do her brand over and we show you the before and after, we'll show you the Google indexed. So Nandy, I can tell right away that if you're not Google indexed, it means that your search engine optimization. I'm going to see if I can just quickly find a site that's indexed. It has to be on a Google search, sorry. I'm not able to get it on this platform. And we're running out of time. So I'll do the example and I'll show you guys what an index site looks like. It'll have all the different areas of who gets the most search. What areas on your website gets searched the most. So Nandy's isn't showing that, and it tells me that she's not her company is not search engine optimized. And so it means that there's not enough keywords in there for people to find her. So the other thing is that she mentioned that she was, people could find her by keywords. So just look at immigration lawyer. So if we look up immigration lawyer, we don't see her on the first page. And when I looked, she wasn't on many of the pages. So there's a way to do that. Nandy, what you need is a long tail keyword. And just because lawyers are so competitive, there's lawyers like Diamond and Diamond, and Mitkowski immigration lawyer, they will pay a lot of money to be indexed so they're on the first page. And when I talked about indexing, this is what indexing looks like. You see, it breaks down into like what we call sub-chapters, but we didn't have that for Nandy because the keywords is a challenge. So there's a way to have, keywords built into your website. So when you get searched, you can be found. And because the law is so competitive and there's so many individuals with a lot of budget for advertising, that it's very, very challenging, but there is a way to do it. We know a way. And what we'll do is we'll work with Nandy over the next few weeks to show her that unique way of how you can get representation online in a unique way. Not that you have to be found on the first page, but there's other ways to do it. So that's one. And then one of the things that we love to do when we Google someone is we like to do what I call an image, because 9 out of 10 times people are going to look at that image and make a decision very quickly as to what they will do with you going forward. And so when we look here, we see 3 images, and just 3. And so one of the things we like to do is I like to look at the size of the image, because if you look at the size of the image, what it does, it tells you how intentional that person is about their business. Are they going to put high-res images up, like huge images? You know that a lot of the times when someone is using your information online, they're not necessarily calling you for a photo, or if Nandi is very busy and she doesn't have time to send the photo, someone is going to go online, they're going to download this photo. Here's a challenge. The photo here is 350 by 350, not a high enough resolution. Same thing, that's 250 by 250, right? Not a high enough, and this one's really low. These resolutions are not a higher resolution. If we were to sort of Google her competitor, they probably would have a different resolution. I won't go through mine because, I mean, it's not a fair comparison, because as an agency, I make sure that for us and all our clients, if you Google any of our clients, you can literally pull an image that is going to be over 300 DPI. You could literally use it in a magazine. So those are some of the slight nuances of the brand when you do your brand audit. And then I went online to see where the social media representation was, and there weren't many social media. So see, there's none on Facebook. And Nandi, I'm not sure if you have it on Facebook, but if you do, it's just not showing up. And then also we did the same for Instagram. Go ahead, did you want to have a comment?
So on most of my social media, I've all put in the same way. I don't use my first name, so it's determined laws. That's on everything. Are you saying that's not a good strategy?
No, well, there's a way to do it. What should happen is that you want to have it tied into your name as well. The company and the name. There's a way to do it so when you get searched, when your name gets searched, it will get picked up. Now, I did have your website open. I'm going to just quickly pull it up because I did have it as a sample that I wanted to show. Right here, got it. Yeah. So here's our website. So we come on and here's our website. So we have, and so we're going to take this, and then with Nandi's permission, we're going to do a brand overhaul. And we're going to show you the before and after. There's a lot happening here. And when we talk about synergies in a brand, there's something that has to happen. You know, when you walk in, this is Nandi's office. So when you walk into Nandi's office, there's a synergy that we're looking for. So the logo is great because, you know, the logo is this fierce woman holding up the scales of justice, and she's got the sword or the scepter ready to fight for her people, right? But there's a correlation. You know, someone had asked earlier, you know, whether or not, I forget the question, but it all had to do with synergies of the brand. And I talked about what the landscape of the brand is. So when we talk about font and logo and even placement and image, it all has to tie in very tightly together. There's slight nuances in brands that says a lot. Even though you're not online speaking about this, it says a lot about you. So we have a lawyer, but our date here, it says 2019. So what this tells us is that we're not paying attention to the details. And when you want an immigration lawyer, you really want someone to pay attention to details. Of course, she's paying attention to the details. There's no doubt she's a very good lawyer at what she does, but someone is not managing this. So that says something. So we're going to fix this. And normally what we do is we have a calendar for clients, and we say every year, January 1st, December 31st at midnight, we change everyone's copyright here. So they're in line. Now, for a legal site, you'd want to imagine that there would be a disclaimer around privacy. And one of the things we normally don't do when we sort of use another, like we know GoDaddy is powering their website, we don't give GoDaddy the accolade. We remove them from the footer, and we put other call to action things on the website. And so, Nandi, I really want to thank you for being open to sharing, because, you know, it's a big part of learning. And remember, when we started, I say whatever I say comes from a place of love and respect, and it's just a way of improving and growing the work that we do. And so we see 2 areas here: Canadian immigration law, wills and estates. So that's great. We have a subscription button here, and then we have all the social media parts. But what was interesting was that I missed that, and I shouldn't have missed that. And then we have our social media. So this is great. We've got great followings. We've got great posts. We've got this line here. There's a few things that we're going to work on, and you'll see when we do the analysis of after what happens. So when we look at the posts, this one got a great like. You see, when we talked about how when you're the brand, what we recognize is photos with Mandy gets high views. That's 85. That's 109. That's 7. That's 20. So we recognize that when it's a photo of her, see, that's 97 versus this that gets 7 versus this one that gets 13. So to the point of whether it's good to use yourself in the brand, right here, as they say in law, it is ispa loquitur, the thing speaks for itself. Right here, whenever there's a photo of her, her posts are the highest. So it tells us that people connect with people, they connect with you as the brand. So that's excellent. 10 stars for you on that. That's really, really great. And so, I'll leave it at that. But, one of the things that we go through when we look at the web, and, we want the fave icons. In your website, this at the top here is called a fave icon, where you see my mouse. And so what we want to do with that fave icon is we want to personalize it to the brand. And it says here on the site description, lawyer, legal services, and it has the name Detterville Law Service, North York, Ontario. There's a way also to have that be part of your keywords in terms of how you identify your site. Here's one of the great things that she has done, which not a lot of people do. They always fall down on this, and people fall down the most on their blogs. You can clearly see that we, as a law firm, we're very up to date on our blogs. We are keeping up. We have September 7th, 2020. We've got news that's current. Most people, they fall down on that. And that's one of the things that you have to watch out for. Now, what I would do in this is I'd probably want to show more of the personality. We're big personality believers. I know from experience that when you can identify your brand personality, it is your biggest asset to building your business that you can do, is to show more of your personality. And I'll leave it at that. And then you'll see when we do the makeover on her brand, what the update will look like. So Daniel, you've got an exciting new project ready to start at the agency. Do you have any questions about what I've shared? Okay, all right, thanks everybody. Uju, do you want to go through any questions that's there that I've maybe missed out on?
So I don't see any questions, but Dorian is asking what we mentioned about the calendar.
Oh, wow, I don't remember. So I guess I was cutting out. I don't know. I don't remember what I was saying about the calendar, updating the calendar and details.
Yeah, I
see. Yes, I remember. Yes, I remember. You see at the footer, thanks for that, Dorian. Yes, at the very footer, it's there's a copyright bar, and normally you put the date that is on your website. And so I go to some people's website, it says 2017. Can you imagine? You want to always have that be 2020. That should always be 2020. And so you put on your calendar every year, December 31st, you're going to make that, just as the year flips into a new one, your website page at the footer is also going to convert into a new year. Okay.
Awesome. I think that's all the question we have. And I know we went a little over time, but this has been such a fantastic session. We talked about the characteristics of, building your brand, the characteristics of having a memorable logo. We talked about the importance of networking, and congratulations, Nandi, your business is going to have a free makeover session. Like, what? I knew that this session was going to be amazing. I just didn't know it was going to be this amazing. Come on. And so I would just segue into, because I know that all of us, we have great businesses, or we have great ideas that we want to build into businesses. And so I know that we need all of these services. And we have the BATES coming up. So if you are not a registered BBPA member, now is the time to go register. We have the BATES program coming up. BATES is the Business Advisory Implementation Development Services. So there we're going to be talking about everything that has to do with the health and well-being of your business, from financial well-being to marketing well-being, every single thing. So it's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks, actually. So you want to be signed on to BBPA, so you have all the scoop as it's coming out of the fire. So you're the first set of people to know about it. So I would really advise that you register and, get that update. But that's it for this week. If you don't have any other question, then I want to say thank you so much for showing up and just showing up for yourselves and for your brand and for your businesses. And the next one will be next week, where we have an amazing outline for you. We're going to be talking about the resources for your business. So please, you want to show up, and you want to show up on time for that one too. Thank you very much for showing up. I think now we have come to the end.
Yeah,
you have a question.
There was so much more, because, we didn't get into all the elements of marketing, the social media and all of that stuff. And, the photo, I know Danielle had a comment she wanted to make about the professional headshots, but part of this program that we wanted for everyone was for you to all leave with professional headshots. That's not happening now because we're not in person because of COVID, but we're going to set something up for us to all do it. So Danielle, you want to just go ahead and mention?
Yeah, at Brandy Hugh, like for some of our clients, we're actually doing professional headshots this coming Thursday from 11:30 a.m. till 4:30 p.m. If any of you are interested, I can definitely give you more information. If you want to just send me an email at danielle@brandyhugh.com. I'll just pop it in the little question, the little message bar thingy. It's going to be with a professional photographer. You're going to get 3 finished shots and have access to all the raw images, as well as there'll be a hair and makeup artist on set. And then if you need wardrobe services, like we can also discuss that as well. But we have an amazing photographer, an amazing studio that we're doing it at, and we have 3 slots left open. And
so that can go to the first 3 people as part of this program that responds, that A, has the time in which to do it, and that responds right away. I mean, I would love for Nandy to be one of these persons if you're able to, just because your brand is going to get made over. So Nandy, you can certainly let us know right away if you're able to make it, because it's short notice, and then 2 other individuals, and that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I think I would be juggling my calendar for that.
Okay.
Awesome.
Wise decision.
I will try to see if I can make it and let you know.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know. There's a wide slot, so let us know.
Yeah, there's a wide slot. And so if you were to just let us know like which 30-minute period, would work for you, it would be a total of an hour, including hair, makeup, and wardrobe. So if you just want to let us know like which time slot would work best for you. Perfect.
Awesome. And I imagine, Nandy, you're on the WhatsApp group, so you can just let us know there as well, and all the information will be sent to you. So thank you so much, everyone. With that, I believe we've come to the end of today's session. Someone was asking if the recordings will be available. Yes, it would be, yes. But that would be in the next couple of weeks. But you would have access to the video. De La Fonte says, will we have another opportunity for the headshot other than tomorrow? Danielle?
Yes. And someone's asking how much does it cost. With this program, you, as part of it, you will have, when we're done, your headshots done. I think you'll get 2 photos per individual. You show up and we'll have a professional headshot done. We'll schedule a day when we can meet either here at Brandy Hugh or at the BBPA. It's just that here there's parking, which at the BBPA there is not. But we'll figure it out where you can come in and get your headshots done, because it's a very, very important part of your business.
Will there be feedback around the submitted brand audits?
Yes, there will be feedback around the submitted brand audit. We will connect with each of you one by one who submitted the brand audit, and then we'll go through a response with you. So that's your first bit of marketing mentorship.
Okay, Joanne is asking if we can provide that later today or early tomorrow. What do you want to provide? Please specify. Okay. The brand audit. So yeah, I think
the brand audits, it'll take a week to get them back, because we'll have to go through all of them. So you'll get them back by the next class. We'll try to get through them as quickly as possible. And what it'll be a half-an-hour consultation on the phone, and we'll go through with each and every one of you, like we did with Nandy today, based on the responses and what could be next.
Awesome. But just to because this is just one session and we had to cramp all of this. There's a lot to learn in marketing, from marketing research, marketing technology. There's a lot to learn. We can't possibly cover it in 2 hours, and so you would have to like keep learning and keep exposing ourselves to knowledge. But it would be such a great opportunity to do that brand audit for 30 minutes with you, and then you can just build on it. And again, sign up for the Bates program that's coming up soon, because that would be also another added advantage for you and your business. So thank you so much, especially over here. I noticed you've been sitting in your car for the past two hours.
I know. Let's all call her. She's like, as the sun's going down.
Yeah, that's like.
Kudos,
Girl, like
exactly.
the compliments is perfect. I appreciate that. So thank you. I'm going to let you guys go now because I know over time, and I'll see you guys next week. If you have any other questions, just drop it on the group, and I'll always get answers straight to you. You can always hang out and chat if you want to stay back as usual. I know the lady over here.
It's all good, Uju. You can end the meeting. Thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.